Are you?
I am. Hi, Letitia.
Yeah.
Hi, nice to meet you. Great. Yeah. So the talk will be
The stuff will be downstairs.
downstairs.
Yeah,
Okay.
just in the
Okay. Cool. For as long as I realized that I was going to die someday, it's something that I've always been really, really afraid of. It's something I've been afraid of since I was a little kid.
Seven-legged, two-bodied piglet. Jesus Christ.
I always did some like philosophy organizing. Even from when I first got interested in philosophy, I ran the philosophy club at my high school, and a lot of people came to those meetings. It was a popular club. It's popular for a philosophy club.
People all the time sort of justify sort of courses of action or ways of shifting their goals or priorities in life in light of the fact that they're going to die.
Brooklyn Public Philosophers started in September of 2013. I was thinking in terms of how to present philosophy in a way that's interesting to non-philosophers when I was teaching intro. So since no health-conscious people are sedentary couch potatoes, no marathon runners are sedentary couch potatoes. So what's the conclusion here?
I know all these terms that you told us, it connect in some way, but can you break it down like a simpler form on how to apply it to certain ones? Because I think that's the problem. We don't know like when to use them, like on the problems that you get.
Yeah, okay. Teaching is public philosophy. It happens to take place at a school, but you're doing philosophy with people who aren't professional philosophers, people who aren't academics themselves. The next speaker is Jeff Holtzman. Is a friend of mine who reached out to me asking if he could speak, and I said yes because I think his work is really interesting. There is this gender imbalance. It presents like real problems for like the development of philosophy or the growth of philosophy. Right. Maybe 7 or 8 years ago, I discovered philosophical writing about death and what sort of attitude it makes sense to have towards your own death. I'm giving a talk at the Morbid Anatomy Museum. I'll talk about Epicurus and his argument for the view that you're not harmed by your own death and how that illuminates questions about well-being. So when you're thinking about what sorts of topics to cover and what sorts of papers to read or issues to address or discussions to have, you're guided by considerations about what's useful, what's impactful for people who aren't going to spend the rest of their lives talking about this stuff.
If you're not a cool, plugged-in young guy like me and you don't know what YOLO means, that's what YOLO means. It means you only live once. What makes you one thing that exists throughout all of those stages?
I'm not a philosopher, but I was diagnosed with the worst brain cancer ever, and I was given 3 months to live, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna die. And I kept telling people that living and dying was the same thing, and I hadn't had that thought before I was told I was going to die. I was going to die. It didn't seem to affect it. It affected everyone else.
Yeah. Not everybody reacts that way, right? What do you think it is about you that brought out that reaction rather than some
I
other
have
reaction?
no idea.
Yeah.
It just did not affect me at all, completely. Wouldn't you say?
I think philosophy can be therapeutic. The tradition of philosophical thinking about death that I engage with the most does that. It's an example of philosophy as therapy. It's philosophy in the interest of clarifying and getting to the root of metaphysical and emotional problems that people are really, really invested in. Those aren't problems that can necessarily be solved through psychiatrically or pharmaceutically.